Punto4Punto News and Public Affairs Program nga tud kaninyo nining radio station 92.7 UKFM ang tingog sa paglaom. Kining inyong ubos nga alagad si Mr. Eric F. JUSTINIANE uban sa atong guest speaker karon na si SB member Honorable Joseph F. Fulache, ang Chairperson Committee on Laws, Rules and Privileges, Appointment, Good Governance and Human Rights. So bueno, sa atong pagsugod sa atong mga angay hisgut-hisgutan uban ni Honorable Attorney Joseph Fulache, ato siyang atong ihatag ang mikropono diha kaniya aron sa iyang pagtimbaya ngadto sa kahanginan.
Daghang salamat, Mr. Eric F. JUSTINIANE og sa Yoke FM nga gitagaan ko og chance nga makasulti dinhi. And also good afternoon sa tanang Hilongos, no, especially sa atong Mayor Albert Villahermosa, Vice Mayor Manuel Gabisan ug sa akong mga kaubanan sa Sangguniang Bayan sa Hilongos.
Okay, ang hapon sa diya nimo Attorney Fulache. Ang imong pamilya di ba nimo
akong mga anak sad I'm pretty sure that they would have been viewing me right now kung na-inform na ko sila, pero unfortunately I wasn't able to inform them. And perhaps most of my family members are in Cebu, so I wasn't able to tell them that I'm going to guest in this afternoon's program. Ang akong anak nga nabilin diri si Theo Gregory sa mahibaw kay murag bagikan ako natuog ba to.
Mao ba?
Pero nonetheless, still I greet my family members as well as my relatives in Hilongos, Cebu, and even overseas.
Attorney, no, paganita kasugod sa ato mga gisgut-gisgutan, diyan naman tayo daghang mga followers, mga nagpa-shoutout, no? Maayong hapon, Konsehal Attorney Fulache, Eric F. JUSTINIANE. Ako naminaw sa inyong program karon nga Punto4Punto ni Ido Nar o ni Nasyo Kabawatan regard sa mga miyembro sa Hilongos Underground Sounds Kunhag gikan sa mga hilod admin. Lain pa si Ashet Masulupega, shout out sa tanang Marti family o Maso family from Manila. O si Nasyo Kabawatan pag-usab, oy gaw, regards gikan diri sa San Juan, City Oro, layo mo ay, tuwa diri sa City Oro. So, attorney, ali kita sa atong mga angay nga ibat-bat nato diri sa kanginan aron ang atong katawan ang mga lungsuranon ng lungsod sa Hilongos, ang mga Hilongos nun makaibaw sa mga ordinances diha sa Sangguniang Bayan, ilabi na nga diin ikaw maoy author. So atong isgutan ning Municipal Ordinance number 2020-02, an ordinance approving on its third and final reading, constitutionalizing a drug-free workplace and the local government of Hilongos Province of Leyte and appropriating funds for the implementation thereof. Mahimo bang ika-say-say nimo nga dili sa atong mga kagilungsod, attorney?
Before I will go further into Municipal Ordinance number 2020-02, I would like to say that even if I will not be talking here and informing the people of Hilongos on which or for which this ordinance intended, it is a basic principle that every law should be constructively known by each inhabitant. In other words, once a law is passed or ordinance is passed, and then a municipal ordinance is passed and then is approved with the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, it has the force and effect of a law as far as the locality of Hilongos is concerned. So, strictly speaking or technically speaking, there is no need for us to go to a station like Yoke or some other place to inform the inhabitants of this municipality. It is to be noted that an ordinance before it becomes an ordinance is posted in conspicuous places kana maklaro sa mga tao. And in fact, even sa mga kanang mga sangguniang panlalawigan ordinances, mga balaod nga gikan sa ilang collegial body, ila sandang i-post. So, ang requirement sa posting suffices for the ordinance to be known, constructively known sa tanang mga tao nga maafektahan sa mga ordinance. Nevertheless, naman ko din kining ordinance number 2020-02 mainly focuses on elective and appointive public officials or officers. Diin atong gihimug-atan nga in public service there is a need that each public officer or official or employee should be drug-free. In fact, this ordinance tells us that not only appointive and elective officials or officers are involved. This also covers job order workers, barangay officials, and personnel, so that the Hilongos nones will be able to receive the utmost service coming from a public employee or official. Ato mga nakita nga unsa ka ngilad ang effect sa involvement sa usa ka tawo sa drugs. Mahook gani ang tawo sa drugs, mo na siya ay murag gitawag og sinugdanan sa imong katapusan unless muundang ka. And this ordinance also speaks of gitawag na itong intervention program, assistance program. So kining maong ordinance na siya gitawag og namagod ni sa mga definition of terms authorized drug testing. Ang mahitabuan ning authorized drug testing is that may screening test, and after screening test nga ma-found out nga ang usa ka tawo nga atong gitestingan positive, you will undergo the confirmatory test to really confirm that you are indeed positive for drugs. Usually ang atong na-involve nga drugs din is shabu and marijuana. It is sad to note that despite the government drive against illegal drugs, these illegal drugs still proliferate not only in our town but also in other municipalities and cities. So sakit nga kuan. So we have this ordinance. I hope nga kining ordinance matagaan og effect, tagaan na to ngipon pinagi sa atong local chief executive. Nasab din ang gitawag random testing. Ang random testing basically mabitang gitawag random because the know the time and the place where and when he is going to be examined. So, yun na ang essence, ang not necessarily the essence but ang mga tingali mga maingon na to salient points ani nga ordinance. Na sa gitawag nga definition of terms na din hitanan. Drug dependency examination, dangerous drugs, mandatory drug testing, random drug testing, screening test. So kinigod nga ordinance, if you are just a law-abiding citizen, meaning you are following what the law says, kinigong mao nga atong ordinance, kinahanglan ibase nato sa national law. Kanang national law kanang gikan sa Kongreso. So dili man mahimo nga ang ordinance mula pa sa national law. Otherwise, it will be declared unlawful, illegal. Yeah. Kini siya gibase ra ni. So it is just a reinforcement or reinforcement sa national law, ang Republic Act 9165. So, kining ordinance na to as well as Republic Act number 9165, dili ni siya unta angay na tong kahadlukan basta di lang ta mo ma-involve na ng drugs, di ba? And we know for a fact that ang punishment, grabe, severe punishment, severe penalties are involved in Republic Act 9165. Correct?
Kining kuan attorney ba? Kini bang random drug testing kini asa lungsod sa Hilongos ilabi na sa itong mga ka-employaduhan rin sa atong munisipalidad na nakapahigayo na ba tani sukad niya itong 2013 atong karon o
Actually, this ordinance was enacted on the 27th of January 2020. So, if you speak of 2013 until the present, I don't think between the time 2013 and the 27th of January 2020, there was a random drug testing. But I was able to hear rumors that there was one murag sa lain siguro tong municipality. I am not really sure. But as far as I know, wa pa gining random drug testing. Even from January 27th and 2020 until the present, I don't think there was a random drug testing. Tingali, nakita po sa atong mayor nga sukad sa serious drive of the national government against illegal drugs. There has been a continuous decline of drug personalities and drug users and dependents. So, akong balikon, to recapitulate, ang ordinance is not something to be feared about or of because this ordinance will apply only to persons using drugs. So, if you're a public employee, public official who is not using drugs, is not hooked into drugs, then I believe that this ordinance is not something to fear about. Only that, because of our imperfections, naman tayo mga kasaypanan jud, and I believe one of that is violating the law against drugs, that will be the time, and that is the time that the person will fear the consequences.
Kini mong ordinansa attorney, doon na ba ni sa gigahin nga pundo sa atong lokal nga pangagamahanan?
There is an allocation coming from the this Peace and Order and Public Safety Program. It is chargeable against the budget of the Peace and Order Public and Public Safety Program under the office of the local chief executive, and also in the amount of 200,000. And also, since barangay officials and personnel are also affected by this ordinance, because they are also considered public officials, the law or the ordinance rather mandates the imposition of 2,500 pesos per barangay.
Dito sa section 9 sa sanctions, sa letter Cita, letter B, kini ang local government code and article 124. May mo bang mai-explain mo ni sir?
Section 9, section
9 sanction, letter B, section 60 of the local government code of article.
Actually, section 60 involves section 60 of the local government code of 1991 involves several violations of a public official or employee, by reason of which one can be punished administratively. So there are abuse of authority, and there is even that the last enumeration of Section 60, wherein acts analogous to the earlier mentioned violations can also be punished. It depends on the assessment of the established facts. But this Section 60, as far as this ordinance is concerned, is a violation of, no, let me rephrase my statement. It imposes a violation on gross misconduct, Section 60. So one of the enumerations is misconduct. That is Section 60. As far as the Article 124, 3 of the implementing rules and regulations, local government code, we all know that IRR, implementing rules and regulations, are just explanations of the law itself. Sometimes when the law itself and the IRR come in collision or contradict each other, it should be the law that has to prevail, not the IRR. Because the IRR is not the one that is being approved by Congress. It is the law itself. So if the implementing rules and regulations go beyond the spirit and letter of the law, that is the time that the IRR, that portion of the IRR that goes against the law, can be stricken out or stricken off. In this case, Article 124, paragraph 3, I believe this speaks also of misconduct, because Section 60 of the local government code speaks of misconduct. And in this ordinance, the drug use, drug dependence, once you are confirmed to be positive of drugs, that is considered misconduct. So that is what this ordinance says.
So, dili sir sa kwan sir, atag mga ilang kong gamay katinawan, no? Kabahin aning sa section 9 gyapon sa sanctions, sa section 32 of Article 2 of the Act.
Article 32 Act here refers to Republic Act 9165. The Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. That is the other name of RA 9165. This also refers to administrative sanction. From being charged or indicted before a court of law like the RTC, there is also what we call administrative sanction, just like what is imposed by the local government code. The local government code imposed administrative sanctions. Administrative case, so an elective or appointive official, once found out to be positive of drugs, becomes presumably, let's say presumably having committed misconduct, and therefore he has to face an administrative charge against him. So in maybe asa ka ang venue ani, basta kay kanang administrative sanction, madawat yun na niya. Pero kinanglan sab na og nagyoy, meaning somebody has to file the case. Let us say Civil Service Commission. The Civil Service Commission is an inert body, a passive body that cannot act on something unless its power and its authority is invoked. How can you invoke the authority of the Civil Service Commission? You have to file the appropriate case. Kay kung way kaso nga i-file, kung saan man pag-act sa Civil Service Commission. So there must be somebody who is going to file administrative case against an erring public official.
So ating tagka mga kaigsunan, 21 minuto suman makalabayang alas 3 ng kapunon para yung kamong naminaw sa atong tulumanon Punto4Punto. Uban ni Honorable Joseph F. Fulache, ang Sangguniang Bayan members, ang Chairperson sa Committee on Laws, Rules, and Privileges Appointment, Good Governance, and Human Rights. Sa dili pa kita mo padayon, mamati usa kita og usa ka sunata.
Si Najib din yun. Si Najib.
Search my heart, how much you tried, and I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay. When your heart crumbles, when your hope stumbles, I'm here to stay.
Outrageous thanks to our local chief executive, likewise with this councilman, for boosting us holy creations and enhancing the beauties of nature. Your honest intention so you play a huge role to unite us. Hilongos knows for the improvement of Hilongos, our beloved hometown. Hilongos now starts to shine like a sunrise in the sky. Surroundings are now gaily singing a hymn when one is unwinding. Trees in the forest are now dancing as the wind slowly grazing. Bodies of water are now gaily streaming, our homeland early smiling. Their talents are now showing, no longer hiding inside the shells, like birds freely flying. Due to your example, support and encouragement, Hilongos town stars to shine, sunrise in the sky. Surroundings are now gaily singing a hymn when one is unwinding. Trees in the forest are now dancing as the wind slowly grazing. Bodies of water are now gaily streaming, our homeland early smiling. What the Hilongos holds now is a reflection of your highness dedication, sequence and peace selfless. Town stars to shine like the sunrise in the sky. Surroundings are now gaily singing a hymn when one is unwinding. Trees in the forest are now dancing as the wind slowly grazing. Bodies of water are now gaily streaming, our homeland early smiling. Hilongos down stars to shine like a sunrise in the sky. Surroundings are now gaily singing a hymn when one is unwinding. Hilongos, Hilongos, a legend of paradise. Hilongos, Hilongos, a legend of paradise in our sight. Hilongos soar high.
kaigsunan, 26 minutos, suman makalabay ang alas 3 ng kapo noon, padayong kamong naminaw sa atong tulong noon, Punto4Punto. Kining inyong ubos nga lagad, si Mr. Eric F. Justiniane, uban sa atong guest speaker karon ning adlaw. Lain kundili si SB Member Honorable Attorney Joseph F. Fulache, ang Chairperson, Committee on Environment and Disaster Management. Ato balikan si Attorney Fulache. Kabahin ani doon na kapay kadugang ani Attorney matiwala ni Municipal Ordinance number 2020-02.
There is something that is peculiar about this ordinance, and it is the so-called employee assistance program. This is a program that can be resorted to by the officials or employees who have been addicted to alcohol or drug-related issues. Nga tingali sa atong tanaw maka balda o maka-affect sa iyang performance. Kining employee assistance program can only be resorted to if prior to screening test and confirmation test or confirmatory test, meaning this is something the emergency assistance program can be invoked by the official or employee when he or she voluntarily confesses that he is an alcoholic or a drug dependent. So that is the time that the employee assistance program can get in. So it can apply only before the screening test and confirmatory test. But once it is found out, either by random testing or by something that's mandatory drug testing, that you are positive for drugs, then you cannot avail of the emergency assistance program. And I think that would be all. But if somebody who is interested to read this Ordinance 2020-02, don't hesitate or feel free to see our Sangguniang Bayan Secretary, Catherine Agropante Fabular. She's more than willing to help you and give you a photocopy of this ordinance.
So, atong hisgutan karon Attorney, ali kita sa imong mga resolution na sa dili pa niana ato sa shout out ning atong mga suking tigpaminawan. Ilabi na diya mismo sa DA office, diya mismo sa mga kaubanan sa Municipal Agriculture Office, yan sila si Ma'am Elma Oha, sila si Ate Paulette, Eva, o uban pa. Diya usab sa Sangguniang Bayan, especially ni Ma'am Catherine Popular, o diya sa Office of the Mayor, bila ni Sir Joe Villaflores, o mga kaubanan. So, ano kita sa itong Attorney, sa Resolution number 2015-1, a resolution approving the 2015-2017 Integrated Area Community Public Safety Plan of the Municipality of Hilongos and endorsing the scheme of the Sangguniang Bayan for approval and adoption. Usay yung ikapanan niya ito?
Kini siya, it was a product of the Municipal Peace and Order Council meeting. So it involves the civic organizations in the planning, implementation, monitoring of some interventions for maintenance of the peace and order in our locality. So it is it is not just the concern of the municipalities, public officials and employees, but it is as well a concern of the the citizenry, private organizations, and sa tanan good nga tao ato man na nga kwan. So in essence, that is the what the resolution says.
So diri sa kwan sir, diri ang sa resolution number 2019 nimo. Das 2016-NS resolution adopting sangguniang panlalawigan. Resolution number 2019-310. Resolution declaring the entire province of Leyte under the state of calamity due to high alarming and continuing rise of dengue incidents.
You know, Eric, a resolution, let us first delve into the basics. The resolution is a sentiment, the declaration of the sentiment of the Sangguniang Bayan or the lawmaking body. So that is why when a resolution is passed, it is more or less not permanent. That's why when you speak of this resolution number 2019-26-NS, it goes back to July 29th, 2019. So during that time, when dengue was considered an outbreak, the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, I believe, passed an enactment or a measure to which we adopted. So there were assess, there is high alarming and continuing rise of dengue incidents, reported deaths. So that is why we passed this resolution. Let me think.
34 minutos sa man makalabayan alas 3 ng kapunon palayan ko muna minaw sa atong tulumanon punto4punto. Yung ubos nga alagad Eric Justiniane uban sa atong guest speaker karon nga si Sangguniang Bayan member Atty. Fulache.
So as far as this resolution is concerned, it is an adoption of resolution number 2019-310 of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan of the province of Leyte. Yeah.
Ining resolution number 2020-102, attorney, kabahin sa precautionary measures to prevent and contain transmission of coronavirus disease.
If I may say, resolution numbers murag tulo ni siya resolution numbers 2020-190, 2020-2010, and murag napasiguro lain dia. So these three resolutions first, resolution number 2020-102 is related to the recent pandemic, COVID-19. So this speaks of the enforcement of the protocols, and we know what the protocols are. First, we have the wearing of face masks, face shields, and social distancing of at least a meter from each other, and also hand washing. Very basic. Hand washing has been the germ removing act even before long before the pandemic. And we've been told by our parents and our elders that we should wash our hands before we eat. More so now that there is this pandemic that we have to practice hand washing. The other ordinance, 103, Duha lang. 103, as I've said, Eric, resolution is not so permanent measure or act of Sangguniang Bayan. So this refers to the 6th April 2020 resolution, which granted a grace period. Term is not, it was not stated here, grace period, but it is synonymous with the extension of time to pay without need of paying the penalties and other surcharges. So this is in deference to the fact that in a pandemic like COVID-19, people are cash strapped. They're looking for money that is so scarce nowadays. So there is enough reason to extend. So that extension, as far as this resolution is concerned, is from March 31st to June 30th, 2020. So gitagaan ang atong mga magbubuhis o panahon na makahatag sila og buhis kay mao man ni lifeblood. Anang buhis lifeblood man na sa usa ka komunidad, sa society. So despite the mandatoriness of paying taxes, we, the government, the local government of Hilongos, granted an extension. So this extension had long passed. So I believe the materiality of this resolution is no longer effective as of today. But in a more recent resolution, I believe in one of our sessions or last Monday or the Monday before last, there was a passage of a similar resolution extending the payment of taxes. So there is already that similar resolution granting extension of the tax to the local government unit without the corresponding interest or penalty. Why? Because also the COVID-19 pandemic.
Nagisgot naman kita may tungod aning COVID-19 pandemic, attorney, no? Kumusta naman ang kalakaran diya sa Sangguniang Bayan, ang mga panghimo, ang mga posibleng giduga nga mga pag-implementar may tungod aning pandemic, attorney?
As far as I know, we stick to the protocols. In fact, face shields haven't been strictly implemented, but you should wear the face masks and social distancing. And needless to say, we are too few to look after our constituents and tell them that you have to wear this, you have to wash your hands and everything. And in other words, you have to follow the protocols. And we know for a fact that there are violators. And my advice to those who are not following the protocols is that we just have to follow, because in the end we will be the ones who will be benefited. Because as long as this pandemic is going to be around, it's going to linger further, the more we suffer. And we know for a fact that the economy has already suffered much. Hotels, tourism, the transport industry, and so on and so forth. And this will be having a multiplier effect. And ultimately, it will go toward the economic debacle, the economic distress crisis that we experiencing right now will ultimately reach our house. So mahitabo gyud nga kita musafir kita. Dili na nato kalikayan. Sa moingon ta nga natay kwarta pero in a way affected gyapon ta. Diba? Atong negosyo, atong mga
So, mao kadto ang mga pagpasabot ni SB Member Honorable Attorney Joseph Fulache kabahin sa mga kalihukan diya sa Sangguniang Bayan, especially diya sa iyang mga gihimo o mga nagama nga mga resolutions o mga ordinances dinhi sa atong lungsod sa Hilongos, mga kaigsuonan. Unya, siguro ato na lang pangayuan o panapos nga mensahe si Attorney Joseph Pipot Fulache kabahin siya nga ipaabot o ipadangat diha kaninyo nga mga tagi Hilongos nun.
thank you. Sa ato nga pag fight pag atong pakig bisog batok nining COVID-19 atong himugatan nga dili lang ang atong kaugalingon atong hunaon kundi ang ato usab nga mga kaigsuonan ang atong mga silingan mao na nga gikinahanglan jud ta nga mo follow sa mga protocols nga giset sa Interagency Task Force or IATF. Kay kini sila mas labaw man silang nakahibaw nato morning sila nagbutang og standards nato nga mo follow ta mga protocols nang lang atong tumanon kay kining pandemic sa ako nang giingon kung magpadayon mosamot gyud ta kalisod nya. Lastly, inautunta nga kitang mga Hilongos nons here and abroad aton tang suportaan ang atong pangagamahanan. Dili man ta tanan masatisfied kung unsay performance sa usa ka administrasyon pero pabilin man ta nga Hilongos nun kinsay mamahala atong suportahan kay wa ko'y pagtuo nga ang mga opisyales sa atong local government unit naglantaw sa atong kaalautan kundi naglantaw sila sa atong kabulahanan. So hinaut unta nga atong pagampo sa ato sang pagtuo atong pagsalig sa atong mga local officials we'll be able to get through this COVID-19 pandemic. We'll be able to achieve kung unsa man ang gusto nga mahitabo nato sa atong lungsod. Karon nga daghan naman tagna na may tayong mga investments dinhi sa Hilongos. Ang gaysano sab, di ba rek? Gaysano. Magsugod na sa ilang construction. Tingali makahatag na og kanang kalipay sa atong mga
estimated attorney sa akong naibuan mula mga September siguro maka-open.
Nga ba?
So,
maayo no. Daghang salamat sa Yoke FM ug sa personnel nga nag-manage ug nag-supervise ug nag-oversee ani nga radio station, FM radio station.
Sa ngala lang sa atong guest speaker, mga kaigsunan na si SB Member Honorable Joseph Pipot F. Fulache, ang Chairperson Committee on Laws, Rules and Privileges, Appointment, Code, Governance, and Human Rights. Sa ngalan sa kinatibukang sakop sa 92.7 UKFM, Radio Hilongos, ang tingog sa paglaom, kinang inyong ubos nga alagad, si Eric F. Justiniane, nga magaingon kaninyo, maayong adlaw.
Na 92.7 FM. York Radio, ang tingog sa paglaom.
Search my heart, search my soul.